As a kid, the Game Boy Advance SP was a huge part of my childhood. It wasn't just a handheld, it was my very first handheld console. And now, 20 years later, I decided to buy it again and relive that feeling. The Game Boy Advance SP was released in 2003, and for a lot of us, that changed everything. I'm talking a flipped screen, a backlight screen, and finally a rechargeable battery. That was a game changer at the time. For me, I grew up during the early 2000s, and this was the console that introduced me to handheld gaming, and it completely blew my mind. Like a lot of kids back then, I'm pretty sure I ended up trading my Game Boy Advance SP to GameStop, so I never had the fortunate opportunity to save my childhood Game Boy Advance SP. And of course, now that I'm older, I regret that I did that. Honestly, if I could go back, I'd slap that trade-in right out of my own hands. The SP I had back then was the cobalt blue one, so I have clear memories of me holding my Game Boy Advance SP in my hands, playing games like Pokémon Sapphire, Metroid Fusion, and Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. It's not super common to find Game Boy Advance SP nowadays, since you can still snag one online through eBay, Mercari, or even GameStop if you're lucky. But then again, the prices are pretty pricey. Nowadays, there are modded versions just floating around. For example, USB-C, which is used for charging for convenience, better battery life, and IPS screens for brighter, sharper visuals, which is way better than the old dim display. Some are even reshelled with third-party cases that give the console a fresh new look, but I didn't want any of that. I wanted everything to be bone stock. That means everything completely original, 100% authentic experience. So I know there are emulators out there instead of spending money on a 20-year-old tech. And don't get me wrong, I've tried them, but honestly, it just didn't feel the same for me. I wanted the full experience, the feeling of actually holding an original hardware, original Game Boy Advance SP in my hands again. There's just something about playing on an original console that an emulator can't replicate. I ended up buying a SP from a seller on eBay, and I paid fair pricing for it, but that didn't matter to me. As long as the screen is like really excellent condition, came with a charger, I'm all for it. This particular SP was owned by someone since 2004. It was their childhood console, and now it's in my hands. Every scratch, every scuff, it's all part of someone else's memories and mileage. They even told me they logged countless hours into it. When I thought about it for a second, I said to myself, dang, I'm gonna continue their legacy. As soon as I received it, the first thing I did was check the battery for any potential signs of swelling or damage, because I don't want a fire hazard, but so far it looks pretty good. For games, I picked up Pokémon Sapphire with a new battery already installed. I know it was pricey, but I didn't want to risk buying a cheap reproduction or a copy with a dead save battery. And honestly, I don't trust myself soldering a new one, so I paid a little more for the convenience and peace of mind. I also made a video with me exploring the save file, so if you want to go check that out, check out that video. Lately, this thing's been living in between my hands. I can't put it down. And of course, I'll be shiny hunting. There's just something special about shiny hunting on original hardware. It just hits different. And also, it makes it feel so much rewarding. But anyways, the Game Boy Advance SP means a lot to me. It shaped my childhood, and it always holds a special place in my heart. It means even more now that I get to continue someone else's journey, their legacy, their story too. I still wish I could have stopped myself from selling my original SP back then, but hey, that's the past. I'm just grateful I get to hold this console again and boot up a game. Sometimes, you don't need the best graphics or the latest hardware. Sometimes, you just need to feel like a kid again.